Hi Navya. Hi Navya.
Hi
Hi,
Navya, hi
Alessandra.
Aurora, hi Alessandra.
Hey, thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for being here today.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me to be a part of this.
Absolutely, absolutely. I remember like we met right in the fall batch of like
Mhm.
last year of the fellowship, and even like during the interview, like your dream was actually to come to San Francisco, like work for a tech company, being here in the US, coming from India, and
Absolutely.
basically right now like your dream came true, right?
Yeah, it,
You visited San Francisco in the past batch. You also were able to get funding from your university, right? Where
correct.
you did your master at University of Texas at Austin, and
Mm-hmm.
now you recently started as an engineer at Apple, so one of your dream companies. And you started in Texas, right? But at the moment you're currently in Cupertino, right? For the training for the
Correct.
initial part.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool, cool. Yeah, if you wanna start a little bit telling your story, like how everything like started, like briefly, and then maybe we can follow up on some more
Yeah,
specific questions.
sure, absolutely. So, I was an undergrad in India in until 2020. I was doing my undergrad in electrical and electronics engineering at this nationally reputed university called National Institute of Technology, Tiruchirappalli. It's a university in the state of Tamil Nadu. So 4 years there, grateful to my professors and people who have given me the opportunities and like guided me towards the opportunities that I've been able to take. So until 2020 I was doing that, and post my undergrad I joined Bajaj Auto Limited, which is a leading automotive manufacturer in India. I joined their electric vehicles, department. I started off as an engineer there. I was developing hardware products for different applications within the electric vehicle. So Bajaj Auto Limited manufactures two-wheeler and three-wheeler electric vehicles. If you know, in India, it's very famous. Auto rickshaws are very famous. Those are three-wheeler vehicles that it's like a public commute vehicle. People use it for their short distance trips. So two wheelers, assist, like it's just scooters. We were trying to make electric two wheelers and electric three wheelers, and for the first 8 to 9 months of my time at Bajaj, I was an engineer developing hardware modules for lighting applications in EVs. Later on, I moved on to overseeing the product development of a product in our charging ecosystem, which was called the residual current device. Essentially, it sort of helps prevent electrocution of the users using our charging system. So it was a safety device. In that time, I was the product itself was being developed by a vendor company. So I was helping them with their designs, doing design reviews, from architecture to PCB to actually fleshing out the product in the factory. So that was a really good experience that I got at Bajaj, completely owning that product and doing failure analysis. Of course, with my very very amazing team. Like, I'm fortunate that wherever I've been able to surround myself with people of such high intellect. It's always humbled me. So that's something that I'm really grateful to Bajaj for giving me that opportunity, and my managers for seeing that capability in me, and putting me in the right positions whenever I asked for it. So so that was my stint at Bajaj. At Bajaj, I realized that in a role like this, I needed to be more technically deep. While I had the technical foundation from my undergrad, I wanted to be a little bit more uh, understanding and uh, cognizant of the deeper technical details within the product. So I decided to move to USA for my masters, and UT seemed to have a really good power electronics curriculum and like a department for power electronics. So I moved to UT in the fall of 2023, and my masters. Like, I finished my masters in December 2024. So 1.5 years of masters. I just took a pure course based masters. I didn't want to go into like a thesis based masters. So I did like 1.5 years of that. And in the summer of 2024, I was interning at Lucid Motors, again like an electric vehicle startup, so to say, they're not a startup anymore, but they're still a growing company, at based out of Newark in California. So that was my first, step into California, and California just like blew me over. But before getting into that, a little bit about Lucid itself. Lucid's doing amazing engineering with their luxury EVs. So I was a part of the charging team again, working on a hardware product, but this time doing like a safety analysis of their charging box, which is called which they call the Wonder Box, which is like the charger, essentially the charger within the vehicle. And then so it was during that time that I went to the Golden Gate Bridge at least 5 times. When I was spending my summer in California. So I remember telling Eric this during our interview that I had like a painting of Golden Gate done, because I was so much in love with that place that I drew, like I painted it on. It was a simple painting, and then I was showing it to him. See how this is how this is how much I love Golden Gate. It symbolizes a lot of things for me. It's like its stature, like the opportunities, and how it stands tall despite the turbulent waters underneath it. So I think, going a little philosophical, but that's what it represents for me, and it brings a sort of a sense of hope for me. So I love that place, and I think SF and its energy is just unbeatable, unmatched any from in any part of this world. So or so from wherever I've been, at least. So that's been my journey. And then this January, like 3 weeks ago, I joined Apple as a hardware systems engineer. I am working on the development of the AirPods. So yeah, that's my story.
Naya, thank you very much for telling us your amazing journey. And we would like to start again from the beginning when you did the experience at Bajaj Auto,
Mhm.
in which that was like you started there in a new department that has been created, like for not so much, the department of the electric vehicles.
Mhm.
And how was the experience there? What did you learn from that experience, given that was a changing moment also for the company? So you went in a key moment for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Bajaj is a really well-established automotive company in India. It's one of the leading, or the leading, three-wheeler manufacturer in the country for conventional vehicles, and right now for electric vehicles as well. So when I say conventional, vehicles that run on IC engines. So Bajaj was already established. It's a really big name in the country, but for EVs, we were just starting out. So we started in 2019, and it was still a growing company. And with any hardware product, the life cycle is a pretty huge life cycle as opposed to, let's say, a software product. So Bajaj was still, trying to find its footing in the EV segment. So the environment within the teams was very startup like, even though Bajaj is already established in the other segment. So that way, I think I joined at a really good time, because then I got to my experience was not too niche. I had to do anything and everything that it took to develop that product. So uh, starting from the, it's not just me, it's my team. So I just want to clarify that as well. So our team had to do, I would like to rephrase that. Our team got to do a lot of things that probably would not have been possible in an environment that's already set and rigid. Like if it had all of its processes and like systems set, we would not have been able to do as many things as we did. When I say as many things, the breadth of things that we could do, starting from the architecture to uh, designing PCB modules, to actually working with PCB engineers to get it designed, and then getting going into the factories to see how this product is actually coming into life. uh, I, as an engineer that just got into Bajaj, got the opportunity to do all of this. That would not have been possible in a company that's already established in its system and hierarchy and all of that. So because it was a startup environment, we had to do anything and everything that was required to push the product out. So that involved a lot of uh, I would say chaos, but also that gave that opportunity to work on multiple different things, and everybody was very driven, and especially for the product, they had a product first mindset. So that was a really good experience, and like I said, I was humbled with all of the intelligence around me. Everybody had that product intuition. My manager used to say, uh, in order to do anything in electronics, there are four things that you need to master: the resistor, the capacitor, the inductor, and the diode. The And he said, when he said mastery, he meant mastery. Like, you need to, so the essence of what he said was that you need to get your fundamentals about these four components right, and anything in electronics is done. So it can be power electronics, it can be low voltage electronics, it can be high speed digital, whatever. These four components make up the crux of it. So that's something that it still stays with me in that essence. So I think working with Bajaj gave me that opportunity to do a lot of breadth, and then reflect about what I want to do, going further. I enjoyed the rush of that product making, and getting to enjoy that sense of end to end product making. So then that is when I really decided, okay, I want to stay here for a while, and taking a doing a masters would be the right step forward in that direction. Yeah. So yeah, that's about Bajaj. Yeah.
And in fact, after like gaining all this real world experience, how was like the decision to going back to university and to study like for this master degrees? Because of course, like you had lots of knowledge and lots of maybe new skills that you developed during that experience there.
Okay. So, before joining Bajaj, I was working with Professor Ned Mohan at the University of Minnesota, remotely though. It was the COVID time, and we honestly had nothing to do at our homes, apart from
Mhm.
just doing normal stuff, right? So while I'm grateful for that time, uh, having nothing to do prompted me to just reach out to professors around the world. And then Professor Ned Mohan, he's passed away now, but he took me in as an intern, and he and his team, we were working on a simulation project for power systems, and he had already planted a seed in me to come to the US and do my masters to experience that life. So to me, coming to the US was always like a plan in my mind. I mean, I had, but I after my undergrad, I wasn't clear what I should do my masters in. And I believe that anybody coming out of undergrad who does not have an idea to pursue something very does not have a solid idea about pursuing something, I think going out there, getting real world job experience really really helps sort of narrow down their goals, I would say. So then like I said, so coming to the US, doing my masters in something was always a plan. But Bajaj made me realize that this is a field that I really want to be in. So then doing that masters was quite a natural choice, honestly. So it wasn't anything, it was not like a eureka moment or anything that after Bajaj I was like, oh my god, I want to do a masters. No, it was not like that. I always had like a plan to do something after in the US. So it was a natural sort of I would say progression into that decision, when to do it. So it was that. And uh, precisely like you said, I was surrounded by people with so much knowledge that I was like, every day I had this imposter syndrome. Oh my god, I don't deserve to be here and all of that. So that also sort of pushed me to make that decision. You know what, I need to be more technical, need to have a little more technical understanding of what I do. So let's do that. And hopefully I'm at a better place now than before. So yeah.
And like, what about the shift? Because you've started from a situation that you changed, you went to the US.
Yeah.
How was the impact there, and what did you find in the masters in
Yeah.
which you applied, in which you were accepted? Mm, did, did you see that the expectations that you had were
Yeah.
like that, or you were surprised about anything? Like, what's your perceptions about this?
Yeah. People talk about culture shock. I did have, once I came into the US, I did have, some of them, but because so many, there's a lot of people coming from all over the world and especially India and from my circles to the USA. Through them, I was already living vicariously, the life in the US. So then coming to the US was not too much of a culture shock. There were changes and adjustments to be done, so all of that was easy, I would say. Like, it's honestly nothing, compared to the extents people go to, sort of, like what Eric does, right? He finished his masters at ETH, and then he came to the Bay Area to to start up. To me, starting up is like, oh my gosh, it's just going into the ocean without the idea of swimming, and then learning swimming in that ocean,
But
like
is something
learning to
that
swim
you
in that.
want to do in your future or not? Maybe
So,
to
so,
have, is
so,
something that you want to do in your future, like a startup with others, or
yeah, it is, it definitely is in the cards, but then I don't have like a solid idea as to what I want to do, like what it is that I want to start up on. So as of in like, at least probably in the next 10 years, no, because I feel like Apple is a really good place that I can have probably the same kind of impact that I want to have if I were to start a company. But putting that aside, coming back into your question,
yes?
uh, UT Austin has been very kind. So I was TAing, which is teaching assistantship. I was TAing through the 3 semesters of my program at UT. So I and that covered my tuition. So there was no financial burden on me because of the TA opportunity that I was given at UT. So that, and expectation wise, UT Austin is a really influential school, I would say. So the name does carry a lot of weight. So getting there was step number one. So that probably opened the doors a little bit more. Probably opened more doors than I would have, had I joined any other college. So that definitely. And then our courses had project components for every course that we took. So then that helped sort of put a lot of projects in the resume as well. So that was a really big plus. That's also probably one of the reasons why I did not want to take a thesis. Like I was like, at this stage I'm good with just the projects that I do in my course. So that, and the third thing is, I would like to specifically mention the Texas Energy Institute at this juncture, because the Texas Energy Institute is the organization that funded my SVF fellowship. So I was already a fellow with another program within their org, but because of that, they were generous to decide to fund me for SVF as well. So which is, so when people ask me how is Austin, how is UT Austin, I always say Austin has been very kind, UT has been very magnanimous. So yeah, so I think that's my answer to that. And UT pretty much ticked all of the boxes of my typical US educational experience.
And then, like, we know that you've also, of course, you're like a great engineering, but you also have been like a champion for inclusivity, like in workplace. And in fact, also like when you started in Bajaj Auto, the Lean in Circle program. Like, can you tell us a little bit more about this? And also how you're continuing to achieving all the goals that maybe you have for inclusivity in the workplace in general. Yes, given that there is not a lot, there is parity between women and men in the tech industry, especially. So it was very excited to know that you did such a huge program to enhance the presence of women in the In fact, tech. congrats, really. So yes, tell us about this and what inspired you, or if it was a moment in which you realized that a program like that was needed in the companies. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think they say necessity is the mother of invention, right? So I think definitely there was a necessity, and I felt the need to do something like that. I'm not someone that would just do things for the sake of that. So um, so at Bajaj, clearly it's automotive industry. It's predominantly males, and when I went in, I definitely had supportive managers. I'm grateful. But then uh, the like the women population in Bajaj was very scarce. So there were times when I needed some sort of mentorship and some sort of advice from like a friend, like a female friend, or even people to look up to in managerial positions who are female. So I did not find a lot of it. There were people, but to get access to them was hard. So there was no proper, or there was no channel. It was never thought of before to have a channel to maybe create like a mentorship connect between like a junior engineer and a female senior engineer, and all of that. So so that was sort of gnawing in my head for a while. And then so that was the time, incidentally, when I was reading Lean in Circles by Sheryl Sandberg. Sheryl Sandberg is the CEO, was the COO of Facebook. And Lean In is an initiative that came at the wake of her TEDx talk. And she wrote a book. She and her team like had this website to formalize like coming together and meeting of women in small groups of 5 to 8 people every week. Sit together, discuss what your achievements are, what are your roadblocks, what do you think you need help with. And the good thing about Lean In Circles is that you're not complaining as such. Many a times these support groups can turn into these grievance sessions. Lean In Circles was not that. Yes, it did at some point include ranting sessions, but then it was a formal way for women to come together, discuss things that are happening in their professional or even personal lives as they choose to, and then come to a solution, so to say, for their roadblocks or problems, and solve it for themselves, and create that support circle for the women in that circle. So then I thought, why not? It was just like another, women support group. So I started with like 5 to 8 people, like just my peers at Bajaj. And then we kept meeting week after week. And then we realized, there is a strong sense of support that we are each getting from this discussion. So I, uh, took this up to the VPHR and the CHRO of Bajaj. I presented a deck to them. Hey, see, I think there's real value in this. This is what the people that have already experienced this are feeling. I took the testimonials from my team, and then they were actually very happy to they were champions of it. They were like, let's do this, let's go ahead. And then they put me in charge of it. They gave me a team that would support this initiative. And then with the help of the team, we launched like the Lean In Circles initiative for all of the women in Bajaj. So we started out with people in the Pune office, which was like our main office in India. And then we had a launch. We had people from the local Lean In chapter come in and give keynotes. We had a really good launch, and over 200 women like sort of signed up for this. So that was Lean In Circles. In short, to me, inclusivity is respect. Is another manifestation of respecting people. So if you don't have women in your group, uh, trying to get more representation of women is a sign of showing respect to women. Also, inclusive language. When you talk respectfully, right? So it doesn't really have to be about just women. Anybody, making them feel included in a team setting is a sign of respect. So, and I think respect should be a fundamental in any team that you work with. It could be like a big company like Apple, or it could be like even like a team, a school project team as well. So I think it's that respect that manifests as in this case, inclusivity. So that's why that is very important to me. So that's a story of Lean In. Here, when I was when I was in SF, there were two people from Stanford. I don't think I can disclose the names. Two people who were one was in an MBA program, and the other was in a management science and engineering program. They were also starting out an initiative called Mochi, which is similar. And I'm sort of trying to expand that effort in Austin with them. Um, so that's the that's my stint, that's my tryst with inclusivity, I would say. At Apple, like I said, still very new, and I think there are more female engineers here in my team. My team has a female manager, and she's made sure that there's a lot of female engineers, and people in the team. So there's a lot of female engineers, but there are DNAs that we have, for like women groups. So I think Apple's doing really good there. So yeah.
And during your journey, have you ever been like in a situation where you were the only female in a group, or it was never like a problem that you were alone?
I'm sorry, Alessandra, where?
Have you ever been like in a situation during maybe during your journey where you were like the only woman in the group?
Oh yeah, yes, I have. Like, that was one of the reasons why I started Lean in Circles in the first place, like back in Bajaj. um, the team, like the teams that I was a part of, initially I was the only like female engineer in that team. Later on, probably like as the junior batches came up, there was like one other female engineer coming in. Now we have a lot more, but when I was there, most likely I would be the only female engineer in that team. And in factory discussions, I would be the owner of the product, and everybody else sitting around me would be like male engineers, very senior, very experienced folks. And I've definitely found myself in situations like that. Yeah, and that definitely pushed me to think about this a little harder and start Lean in Circles. Yeah.
Yeah, you've mentioned a lot like the team and people that have accompanied you during your journey. But
Yeah.
in the moment in which you've decided now you're at Apple, and how did you manage to enter there? And where was also the network that had an impact,
Yeah.
or did you have to develop some skills in order to to enter there? What do you think were the key skills that gave you the access? Because sometimes lots of people are willing to enter there, and
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So it's definitely two things. I feel like there is the technical and soft skill set that you develop. That's like one stack. The next stack, which is completely different, is the job search stack. It's a completely different skill set. You might have all of the technical expertise, all of the things that you need for a particular role, but searching for that job is a completely different ball game altogether. So uh, to me, my strategy with job search, I would talk about the job search strategy and then go into the technical skill set part.
Yes.
uh, Job search was, I was doing it mainly through LinkedIn, and of course their online careers page where I would just apply and you know um, put in my profile there. So
Yeah.
with job search, I would say the first thing is to have a really thriving LinkedIn network, where if somebody likes a post, you get it on your feed, right? So it is important to have people in your network who would like posts that you would like.
Okay.
Did do you
Yeah, this,
understand
yes,
what I'm
it
like?
makes sense
Uh-huh.
because
Yeah,
you see the opportunities from
exactly.
the other people that share your
Yeah,
same interests. Yes.
exactly. So the thing is, when I was looking for a job, um, I had already applied to this position at Apple. Like, I'm an audio systems electrical engineer, so it's called Audio Systems EE. So I'd already applied to the position, and I had one of my people in my network refer me for the role. So that's number two, referrals.
Yeah.
Number three, I had somebody in my network who liked a post which was shared by my current skip level manager on LinkedIn. So that's how I got connected with my skip level manager. I told her, hey, hey XYZ, I wanna, I've already applied for this position. I would love to interview. When I do that, I'm very, direct and but humble about it. I don't want to just go directly ask for, hey, give me a job. I'm gonna ask Casey. I understand that you might be getting a lot of these requests, but if you ever get to read this, I would love to
Make an
you
interview.
get an interview. And then I usually have like a portfolio ready, like of my work and like what I've been doing, a little outside of my resume. It's not my resume, but something that explains my resume a little bit more, in terms with added pictures and what others have told about me and all of that. So I have a portfolio there. So I send a link to that so they can see what I'm all about. So it's always important to make that extra effort, I would say, because everybody is doing resumes these days, because resumes like has become a baseline. There's nothing without a resume. So what can you do to show your story? It's not about just standing apart. It's just how do you just tell your story in a way that in the best way possible. So that's the key. So I reached out to her, and all this time I was applying, nothing, like no responses. I would have applied to more than like 100 positions, not just Apple, but across many companies. But within Apple, at least like 30 plus 40 plus applications, no response, including internships full time and all of that. But after I reached out to my current skip manager, she didn't respond, by the way. But then a week later, I get a call from a recruiter saying, "Hey, we would like to interview you for the position." Now I don't know what played out. Was it the referral? Was it the LinkedIn message that I sent? I don't know. It could be anything, but it worked after I did all of this.
Mhm.
So I think putting yourself out there, like in the job market, is very important. You don't have to be preachy and like keep doing LinkedIn posts just for getting attention. But if you're adding value and creating a post, by all means, please go for it. But if that's not your cup of tea, it doesn't have to be just that. You can just like reach out to people, just be very, just by being very curious about their work, and and it's being very direct and humble about it. So that is the whole part of job search. Now the technical skill set, like I said, Bajaj had given me a really strong foundation about hardware product development, by helping me own a product. So that was, I to me, very valuable and relevant for this role that I'm doing at Apple. So that was one of my core skill sets. And then my time at UT, I picked up a lot more skill set on embedded coding, power electronic, proper
Mhm.
product development, power electronics itself. So all of those added to my resume. So I think that was a technical skill set of it. And then while at UT, I was also, like I mentioned, I was a fellow, TEXI fellow, which is called Energy Exchange fellowship. So that was a collaboration between MIT, Greentown Labs Houston, and UT Austin. So then I got to be a part of it. So that sort of showed my, you know, that's my journey outside of engineering, and but still tied to engineering, but outside of core engineering. So I think that also helped. So that I would probably put that in the soft skills sort of bucket. Uh, all of these things help. So that's like I said, that's the skill set stack. The other stack is the whole thing of job search. People have different strategies. Whatever works for you works. But thanks to LinkedIn for existing, and helping so many of us connect and derive value off of each other. So yeah.
I mean, a lot of people, I think, also got value from your LinkedIn post, like about the Silicon Valley Fellowship. I
Yeah.
guess you're probably receiving a lot of like connection requests, or, like a lot of messages.
Yeah, I am. So
It
there
went
I
super viral, like more than I don't even remember, but 1,000 interactions, something like that.
Yeah, yeah, actually, so I'm thankful for it. Thanks to Eric, Bruna, and the entire team for taking those efforts to bring out our stories onto these platforms. But with that, I also I saw that there is a lot more interest in SVF than than when I was applying. When I was applying, I didn't see a LinkedIn post and apply for SVF. I saw an Instagram ad and I applied for SVF. But after probably the fall cohort, and so many of these content that you're putting out, there are so many people that reached out to me to understand the value of SVF. What did you learn? Like, there were so many questions in that regard. So there's so much more interest, and I hope SVF is able to expand even more, to not I know SVF has this image of just bringing in Italian folks into SF, but through this podcast, I want to say, no, I'm not Italian, I'm an Indian. I was a part of SVF.
Yeah, I
um,
think that's probably because we never probably explain it like very well, but
yeah.
like maybe put it like very shortly. Is because actually there was a previous program that is the one that I also did in 2019 and 2022 that
Uh-huh.
started in 2005, and indeed it was only for Italians and it was
Oh,
only in the summer. And then when also I moved here with my co-founders Patrick and Tommaso, we started the Silicon Valley Fellowship yeah, the first batch was October 2023, so more or
okay.
less 1 year and a half ago, and we started doing international batches. And so, of course, we are from Italy, so of course, a lot of our network and
Yeah.
there's been like the word of mouth also from the previous program. So for sure, there are like many Italians, but yeah, I mean,
So
it's very
exactly.
international.
So yeah, so there are, now this, because I'm from India, people in my network, like a lot of Indians, they have reached out to me, like people in already in the US doing their masters, and people already in, like, people just in India, not in the US. They also have, seem to have a lot of interest in this. So yeah, so I hope SVA was able to expand to many other countries as well.
And what are your plans for the future now? Like, what are you mainly currently focused on? I mean, you just started the Apple, so probably that.
Yeah, definitely. So Apple, I'm very grateful for the opportunity that and the trust that the team has placed on me in taking me in. So right now, my focus would be to definitely grow in Apple. Provide uh, a bring all of the experience that I have gotten in it up until now to making really good products at Apple. There is a lot of obsession with detail in Apple. Every minute detail, it can be software, it can be hardware. Uh, there's so much of people's attention going into every tiny detail within the product. So, and there's so much of user focus, and I definitely think that's something that I want to. That's an environment that I want to be in for a really long time. Honestly, like from looking at it from now. Um, and I want to learn as much as I can from the people that are around me. And I think Apple has amazing engineers, not just engineers, like, people. These engineers are not just, the typical like nerdy folks that just keep doing this. They have like a really interesting life outside of work as well. So I think I want to be a part of that community, stay a part of that community. So definitely, like, I see, like, I really want to be in Apple for a long time and create, like, really create like products of value to people. um so that would be like a umbrella goal, but within that, I think uh you know just create good products, like learn as a part of it. There's a lot of things that are new to me in this role, things that I don't have experience with in Bajaj. So those are the things that I would probably actively be working in to develop skill sets from those, and then yeah, let's see where it takes me. So I'm at that stage now.
And can you walk us like a little bit through a day, a typical day in your role there at Apple?
Yeah. So, again, like I said, I think I'm still pretty new to, say how my day is going to look like.
Mhm.
But so far, it's been a lot of trainings, like, attending trainings, and then going into the lab, working on, a prototype of our product, fixing, seeing what the issues are and fixing those issues, or bringing up those issues and discussing with the team. So that would take a while. um, and then uh, and then yeah, we have our lunch breaks and, like, coffee breaks and all of that. So that's where a lot of these fun discussions about the product and outside of the product also happens. and then and then there's a lot of networking. So at Cupertino, I'm here, I'm meeting a lot of my teammates, getting to know their stories. Like I mentioned, there's a lot of obsession with the work that we do at Apple. Like there's a lot of attention given to every single detail. Like I mentioned, I think I've mentioned it quite a bit now, but like I cannot emphasize this enough. This is sorry, I cannot emphasize this enough. Um People here are so passionate. I'm somebody who derives energy from others, and clearly that's working out very well for me in Apple, because everybody is so energetic about their work, and I'm getting a lot of inspiration from there. So yeah, a typical day would be, labs, meetings, updating your work to your managers or even your peers, and then learning a lot through that work. Coffee breaks, chill, and then go back home and sleep.
It's fantastic also knowing that passion and the fact that people that work there are interested in continuously learning, and that's, I think, that what drives innovation in general. And about that, do you have any books, podcasts, or some resources that had a major impact on your career or that have inspired you in general, like during your journey?
Um, so I'm not much of an audio consumer, like audio content consumer. I don't listen to podcasts a lot. I read. So definitely Lean In has been a really good read for me. That's something that has inspired me a lot. I've been reading Walter Isaacson's biography of Elon Musk. So that's a I don't know. I don't have words for describing like Elon Musk. He's crazy. He's genius. So that I would just say that. So
That had an
that's
impact. That had an
definitely
impact.
had an impact. So that book talks a lot about. Uh, I think startup founders. I think this there's some crazy element in startup founders that others don't have, or
Mhm.
it's a skill that they pick up while they're doing startups. I think Eric would be able to say more about it, but through that book, that's something that I realized. This there is a different bone in their systems that leads them to do what they do. So I think I think I'm trying to find that bone in me as well by myself. But so that's definitely a good one. I read a lot of fiction as well. So I mean, so when you talk about career impact, maybe not so much, but then as a personally, I think I love Khalid Hosseini's books. And then, of course, yeah, and then as a fun read, definitely, I've always been a fan of Harry Potter, the Harry
Yeah,
Potter.
of
Okay,
course,
that's
of course.
Yeah.
Classic, yes.
and
Yeah.
maybe one piece of advice that you would give you to your younger self.
To my younger self, I really don't like being preachy, but I would just say that, not just to my younger self. I think anybody who's in this job market and in like
Exactly.
right now at a time to find a job or like startup or whatever, I would just say, you should keep hustling and not worry about what's going to happen in the future. It's Things are going to fall in place as long as you hustle for what you want to do. I think that's all I would want to say. That's an advice for me as well. So yeah, it's not like like an advice to anyone. I think I would just say that as a note to myself. I tend to get anxious when you know at the slightest inconveniences, right? When I don't get like that immediate success or
Mhm.
immediate result. But it is important to persevere and keep the hustle going. I think that's a note to myself. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Like,
much, Nadia. Really, it was an amazing conversation.
yeah, you're so an inspiring person, and I really believe that people will be inspired by your experiences and the tips that you gave to us. That
Thank you so much. Oh my God! Please don't take this as tips or anything. I was just sharing my story. I don't think I've reached anywhere to be advising people, and I don't think I'm like good enough to even be saying these things. But so that's why I want to say thank you so much to Eric, Alessandra, Aurora, Bruna, Tommaso, Patrick, everybody at the SVF team, and the content team as well for putting this content out there, giving people this chance to talk about their journeys, and hopefully you know uh, just serve as an example to people in their network. So thank you so very much. Also, this is not advice at all. Again, I want to say I'm not advising. It's just I'm sharing my story. I hope this helps a lot more people, and a lot more people are able to come to SVF as well. So Eric, go get that funding for your SVF folks.
Yeah, I mean, like there are like many other foundations, like also Fondazione
Yeah,
Carlo Mercurio from like Alessandra Aurora that are providing funding, other companies, more and more universities,
yeah,
VC funds too. So it's like compounding every month. So I think
yeah.
that's very interesting. And of course, yeah, really looking forward to meet you again here in person in SF
Absolutely.
now
Yeah.
that you're based in the US.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just one more thing. I wanted to say that says that, like, SVF has been making consistent efforts. Cohort after cohort. I can see every day that you guys are putting out content. You guys are doing something or the other to keep the fellowship really expanding. So I think kudos to you guys. You guys are not just developing your own. I know this is all a part of Gomri's initiative, but outside of that, I think um, to consistently want to bring in more people, bring more and more people from the world to SF, and then derive energy off each other, like I mentioned. I think it is a great job that you're doing it consistently, and I'm really glad that I'm part of this community, and I hope to contribute more and more, as much as I can, like in the upcoming days as well.
Yeah, I mean, indeed, what I think is very valuable, of course, after the single batch, like here 1 week in person, is probably the community that you have afterwards, right? So even like the lunch that we are gonna have in a
Correct,
few
correct.
hours,
Yeah,
then like all the meetups in San Francisco, like maybe all the other cities. So it's like very cool that then people start working together,
yeah,
like develop this kind of like relationships, like friendships. So I think that is very cool.
yeah,
And it's
absolutely.
also what happened to me when I came my first time in 2019. I met like so many cool mentors that then they helped me when I also was able to be back here in
Yeah,
2022.
yeah.
So I think that's very cool. Amazing, Navya.
Thank
So
you
yeah, thank
again.
you for the conversation, and yeah,
Really,
we'll see
thank you very
in
much.
person very soon.
Absolutely, Eric. Thanks, Eric. Thanks, Alessandra and
Thank you,
Bye,
Navya.
everybody.
Have a
Navya.
great
Bye.
day.